Hey, let's talk a little Tyree Jackson. This is a nice play from the young man. Watch him handle the pressure off the edge, climb, reduce the shoulder, and then immediately slide to his right, find a throwing lane, throw on the move, 37, 38 yards downfield to his zone receiver, or his receiver breaking in the zone, touchdown. This is smooth work. You want to see a quarterback who does a good job of being able to apply two different types of movement in the pocket and then still be able to throw an accurate football once they get away. That little move right there, this little move outside here. Now he moves into the pressure a little bit, but he's doing this because he doesn't want to just climb with the defender cornering him like this. He wants to be able to get away from the defender entirely and also create a passing lane for himself. And he does that right here. Opens up, fires, gets that left foot in front of him, in front of his body right there. Gets his body aligned enough that he can fire that ball where it needs to be. Really like this play from Tyree Jackson. Oftentimes in my videos, I try to explain that the plays I'm showing you are plays based on things that I've seen repeatedly from a player. But sometimes it's just nice to show you that I've seen certain things repeatedly. Here's another play where he has to slide to his left, reset, and with pressure coming from that backside and into his face, he delivers the ball 53 yards downfield, pinpoint to his receiver. I mean, this is the stuff that's going to get people in the NFL excited about Tyree Jackson's potential because he can create with his legs behind the line of scrimmage, and he has the big arm to then follow up, and he shows a lot of accuracy in that deep game. So the big thing for him is, can he spot the easy plays and execute the easy plays? And when I say that, I mean spotting the simple solutions in difficult situations in terms of pre-snap looks, or when he deals with pressure and nothing's open deep, can he create in a way where he's not forcing the ball? Because if he can, then you've really got something here in terms of his arm talent and his ability in the pocket to just create quickly and get rid of the ball quickly. These are the type of physical skills as a thrower that people are going to find tantalizing about Tyree Jackson, because when you can slide to your left, throw a little bit off platform with pressure in your face, and hit a receiver in tight coverage 31 yards from the pitch point on a corner route at the boundary, it's pretty sweet. And you can see he does a very good job consistently of reorienting his body downhill once he slides, and he does it very well to his left. Nice drag of the foot by number 8. That's all you need on this particular play in the college game. It's very nicely done. And I like that Jackson keeps his eyes downfield, that he resets quickly. There are a lot of quarterbacks that won't reset this quickly, but he understands with his size that he can deliver the ball with a defender in his face and get that ball off. So it's better to be quicker about the decision and quicker about the adjustment than prolonging it, especially when he's not a really quick guy on his own anyhow. So move, reset, fire. As you can see, the intermediate arm is good. Gets a drop. 28 yards. Pitch to catch. Pinpoint. Pretty good. This is the kind of play that's going to show up everywhere when you talk about Tyree Jackson, because you're talking about a big dude who can leave the pocket a little bit and who can throw on the move 56 yards in stride to his receiver. 56 yards, baby. That gets people excited. But ask me how many times I've seen him make this play in 5 games. Once. Let's not take anything away from Tyree Jackson, but let's put it in context here. Reading the field, being able to make plays in the middle of the field, being able to throw the ball accurately in the shorter range of the field. all those things matter a lot more. Though this can be a game-changing play for sure. This play needs to be teased apart a little bit for Tyree Jackson because you're going to watch him here do a nice job sliding away from the pressure to his left, getting square, throwing the ball, and completing an accurate pass. I mean, it's a nice play in the end result. But probably shouldn't have been thrown here. Didn't account for the defender underneath in zone, who should have been able to defend this pass, maybe even intercept it. And it's a nice job of Hill to throw it high, but you can see here this is just a situation where the defender should have had a chance at this ball. But I like the first part of this play a lot. That's really what I value from this play, is the ability to drop, feel that interior pressure, slide and keep his feet under him, keep his eyes downfield. He just didn't see that underneath coverage dropping to the point that could be in position to make the interception, though it turns out to be a heck of a catch for number 81. One of the recurring issues with Tyree Jackson's game in this contest is opposite hash throws. See how underthrown this is? The defender is able to is able to stay in front of it and just cut off the pass. One of the problems is when Tyree Jackson goes to throw opposite hash and he turns, look how wide the stance is. Once the stance is this wide, he also can't really bend that front leg. So he ends up kind of jerking his hips forward to try and get some sort of torque to release this ball with some velocity and a little bit more control. But he's not going to get control with that jerky type of motion where he's also just kind of arching up on the toe and flipping that foot. I mean, just watch how it happens. It looks like a slingshot in a way. And the ball's just shy of target. And this has happened repeatedly on these vertical targets in the range of about 29 to 42 yards opposite sideline, where he's just underthrown the ball or he's vastly overthrown the football because he doesn't have the control. He's unable to really pinpoint it. And as a result, he's either undercompensating or overcompensating. Here's another example of Tyree Jackson's mechanical issues that create an inaccuracy. See that long step back here? That's fine, but you got to shorten that stride. That stride's more than shoulder length. Now, he does a little bit here, but see how he steps forward? And he has a pretty long stride length that's wider than shoulder length. And look at that front leg. It's not really bent that well. So it kind of looks like a hobby horse. It's just kind of rocking here. And he doesn't get a lot of control through his hip. It's not a very fluid release. The ball's a little too low and away. He just doesn't have control over where he puts the ball when his feet aren't really under him well. And he's having to rock through his release and kind of force that hip turnover because of the fact that his stance is a little too wide and that front knee, while it looks bent there, see how it's kind of straight as he begins that delivery? One more time. A recurring issue with Tyree Jackson's game is his accuracy downfield is just not quite there at certain times. And I think it's the vertical end of the game where I look at that 28 to 40 yard range-ish, because there he tends to overstride. You can see this is a pretty long stride he's got going on there, bro. Can't keep the ball down. And you can see that ball sail on this wide open route. The placement was a good idea. You can see that he actually places it to the outside away from the safety. But it's just way too high. And a lot of that, again, wide stance, that baseball throwing stance. You can see how wide that is right here with that front leg. Now the knee's bent here, which is good. But because it's so wide, he's not able to really get over and keep this ball lower. While not a pinpoint caliber pass, I really like Tyree Jackson's ability to see the field and work his way away from pressure. So you get that edge pressure. He's able to flush from the pocket, throw on his move across his body, 32 yards from pitch to catch. And it's a relatively easy catch by the receiver, even though it's a bit more of a general accuracy target. This is a little better throw by Jackson opposite hash, but you can still see the same issue here. Long stride. Knees bent a little bit better here, but then it straightens out here. But he's able to get some air under the ball, and this is close to pinpoint, but it's still a general accurate pass. Requires an adjustment here. But 44 yards opposite field. Nicely thrown. A little pressure coming from the backside. Now what you don't see is much of a look off here. Pretty much looking to that side all day long. But he makes the throw. You can see that kind of how he does that as he transitions from back leg to front leg. You see he kind of like lifts off of that front leg. That kind of causes the ball to go kind of straight up, and then it arcs. So there's a nice little arc on the ball. It's just when he ends up doing the straight knee and the stance is a little too wide, that's when he starts to lose control. But this is a good example of one where he has a little better control. The width of his stance isn't so much of a problem here. And that's why he's close to pinpoint. Now, one of the issues for Tyree Jackson when it comes to that deep game that he's had is maybe, just maybe, the knee might be bothering him in the past. I see the brace there on the left knee, but look at how much better this is earlier in the year. He doesn't look like he's on a hobby horse. The feet aren't too wide apart. He's thrown to the opposite hash. Nice comfortable spread with the legs, not too far. And this is pinpoint. The thing that's difficult to teach quarterback prospects is not how to avoid pressure, but how to reset so that they're in an accurate position to throw the ball, or in a good position to throw the ball accurately. Afterwards, it's that footwork resetting from pressure that's difficult. Watch this Tyree Jackson play and you're going to see. Jackson does a great job here of sliding 2 steps to his right to avoid that pressure coming towards him from the middle, or at least from the middle of where he was standing. But see how his feet aren't really in a position to adjust, and it's kind of an awkward stance, and the ball's a little high and far because he's throwing this ball in kind of an off-balance stance. It's a little wide too. You can see it a little bit more here. Takes 2 steps to the right. See how wide the feet are from that stance? And he just puts that foot down, and it's still kind of a little wider than shoulder width. And then it's that kind of awkward throw that looks like he's hook shotting it a little bit with the release. Just a little far. And a lot of that has to do with his feet. He just can't get his feet set. He needs to learn a pattern, or to be able to get his feet set in a way where they're not too wide. He has a tendency to go too wide when he moves. And when that happens, he loses control of passes. Carson Wentz has this issue. When Carson Wentz has to throw off of any type of an adjustment, his feet tend to stay kind of in a position that's awkward, and they don't adjust back to a position that would be worthwhile to throw the ball, which is why they put him a lot in pistol for quick hitting plays. And it's supposed to be a bit of a quick hitting play, but the pressure forces him to buy time and then reset and fire, and that's not the strength here on this particular play. Here's a positive example of that Wentz-like footwork. And what I mean by that is that when Wentz can throw on the move or be able to reset in a transition off the move like this, the footwork's a little better, and he throws a more accurate ball. This is a 57-yard throw. And you can see that he allows the momentum of that movement to the left to work in his favor. He gets his front shoulder downfield. Stance isn't too wide. And it's pinpoint. I really like the pocket presence from Tyree Jackson, but I really don't like the ball security. 2 hands on the ball, buddy, or tuck the ball, or put the ball in the opposite arm to the sideline. Something. Don't wave it around like that. You're a big dude. Doesn't mean that someone can't come and take a shot at that ball, knock it loose. Someone may be also chasing from behind. Maybe this guy here from Miami of Ohio isn't an NFL caliber athlete. But I'm going to tell you, within a few months, you're going to discover that there are going to be guys who come off of the blocks with better speed than you, who weigh as much as you, if not more than you, maybe 60 pounds more than you, and they're going to hit you before you get to this sideline. DJ Reader's going to catch you. Just going to let you know. DJ Reader might catch you from like the hash at this point. And if he doesn't crush you, then there might be, I don't know, a safety or a linebacker who pokes that ball loose when you're carrying it like this. So word to the wise, Tyree Jackson needs to practice his ball security better. Love the pocket movement. Love the ability to look downfield and find an open receiver. But when it's time to run, tuck that ball. When it's time to climb, both hands on the ball. Don't wave it around. Running the ball probably won't be Jackson's first priority if he's wise when he gets to the NFL. Because you're going to watch this play, and it's going to be a big run. And look him get up that flat and just earn a ton of yardage on this play, right? Over 50 yards. Really, let's say, 60, close to 70 yards on this play? Yeah. But you notice that fumble, right? Because we've been talking about his ball security. But let's also talk about his athletic ability. He's quick. He has good initial quickness. He can change direction pretty well and maintain balance to get into a throwing position or bounce it outside. But really, if you're watching here, look at this defensive back. He's working with this receiver number 1 on a crossing route, and he just goes right by Jackson like 4 or 5 steps before he decides to turn around and follow the quarterback, who's now running up this free flat, and then picks up a block downfield that's way downfield. There was nobody here to begin this play other than this cornerback. You got the cornerback here. You've got the linebacker. He's blitzing here. You got this linebacker. He's blitzing as well. And then you have everybody on the right side going out for coverage here on the right side of the field. That leaves this safety who's following this slot receiver and this cornerback who's following the crossing route. And look at the cornerback. He's not even looking. He's focused on this cornerback to the point that he apparently isn't even paying attention to the fact that Jackson's right in front of him. Doesn't catch his eye at all until he takes a step and turns around right here. Oh, wait a minute. You mean I ran by the guy with the ball who's actually breaking the pocket? And that costs, 30, 40 yards, 45 yards. And then, of course, gets a love tap and the ball comes out. Because look at him flashing that ball around. He's waving it around. I mean, look at this. Waving it around right there. Looks like he's like doing a bolo punch with the ball in his hand. Wave it around some more there. Has the ball under his right arm. He's running up the left side of the field. He's just inviting it. He's like, he's basically calling to the ball. He's not going to get away with that in the NFL. He's not going to be on the field long enough over the course of 18, 20, 24 games at best if he keeps doing this. Definitely has to be corrected. He's got to work very hard on his ball security, even when he's in the pocket. Keep both hands on the ball. Now this one, he's just running, so you can see he's just waving it around, and this is tight by his standard. That's the scary part. Ball security. problem. 14-14 game. 1 minute left in the first quarter. Backed up in your own territory. Pressure. Yes, you can flush to the right. That's great. Both hands on the ball. Don't wave that ball around. Look who's going to slap it from behind there. Yep, Miami of Ohio. There it goes. Got lucky right there. Could have been a return for a touchdown. Well, I don't know if they advanced the ball. I forget about that rule. But this isn't good. Gotta have better ball security. I like the placement on this throw against zone. You're going to see him target this tight end who splits the zone, and he throws it back shoulder here. And that's a good placement for this ball because he's going to have one defender at the right, and there's one also coming from the left over top. So instead of trying to lead it over his head where he's running headlong into contact, let him turn a little bit so that he's showing his back and maybe going to take a hit to his back or hip. You can see the contact is not quite as violent here. Might have been more violent if he was led downfield into that oncoming defender. The fact that he has to turn a little bit breaks that momentum somewhat. Softens the blow a little. Good placement. Another recurring issue with Tyree Jackson's game happens in the red zone. And it happens all over the field, but the red zone, it really pops up, is his attempt to try and do too much, prolong a play, and fit it into a tight window. This results in an interception. He's had multiple interceptions inside the 5 in 4 games that I've watched. He's had this happen, or should have been interceptions. And what you're seeing here is, again, someone who's relied on to buy time, and he's been able to do that well. But then he wants to finish that play. Sometimes it's just best to throw it away, especially when you have pressure that may alter the trajectory of your throw because you're going to alter your throwing motion right here. And your receiver isn't able to be in position to adjust to that as he works from inside back out. And there you have it. It's just best to throw this away. And again, let's look at the game situation. You're up 7-3, early second quarter, 2nd and 10. You've got another play to live here. This isn't 3rd down or 4th down with the game on the line. Got to be wiser. This is a nice piece of manipulation by Jackson. You see him looking to his left as you have a crossing route working that way. Then you have one more coming across from the right and throwing there. It's just a nice job. He may be looking to that first crossing route all the way, but the way that he sets that up, looking to the safety, continuing to stay to the left, and then looking right at the last moment, is a nice piece of work. One of the things that you don't see a lot of with Tyree Jackson's offense is him working from center, but this is a good example of him working from center, delivering a little play action fake, even though it's not one that's meant to be in tune and in time with the running back there as an exchange point. But he finishes that. You have edge pressure. Does a good job of getting his feet set, the knees bent nicely there, that front knee. And it's a perfect ball. 44 yards from pitch to catch. This is a really nice job. One of the things that I like about his release point, which is consistent from game to game with Tyree Jackson, is he seems to get the ball to come off his hand straight up in the air and have a nice arc on it so that when it starts to go to the other end of the arc, it drops straight down to the receiver. And I like how he's able to deliver that kind of touch or trajectory on a deep ball. He throws a pretty deep ball. And I can see why they like using him in this aspect of the game. I mean, in conjunction with the arm strength he has, ability to throw on the move, is the fact that he just delivers a nice-looking deep ball. Jackson also has nice touch on his throws when he cultivates it. When he decides to throw it, you can see that just like his deep passes, he can get some arc on the ball. And this opposite hash throw is exactly where you want it to be. Now, if his receiver can come down with the ball, that would be nice. But he gives his receiver a chance to make that play right there. And he's thrown a couple of fades that were very accurate in this game already in the short range of the field. So it doesn't just, he's just not just a deep ball guy. This is a guy that can, he throws the ball pretty well in terms of to the flats and in the short range and the intermediate range of the field. So the accuracy is promising. It's just a matter of, does he process the game the way that you want him to? And can he make wiser decisions in pivotal scenarios where he has to use a little bit more wisdom and maturity? Game management is an important part of being a quarterback. It's a vital part of quarterback play. And one of the things that Tyree Jackson must improve upon is his game management. They're up by 19 points late in the third quarter, and this sequence of plays isn't a very good one. You see him give that little pump fake, get pressure up the middle, and right after that pump fake, he should feel that pressure, and he kind of just stalls here and ends up taking the sack. I would have liked to have seen after this pump fake, if he feels that pressure, throw the ball away. But this is a guy with a mentality that is, he's going to try and make things happen. This is a bit of a questionable play in terms of saying, oh, did he make a bad decision? But I would have liked to have seen, let's be cautious here. It's 2nd and 3. You're inside your own 20-yard line. You're backing up inside your 15. Throw the ball away. But it was too late for him to throw the ball away, so he had to take the sack. So this play is a little bit more negligible. But the next play, this is where the game management really comes into play, because it's 3rd and 13, end of the third quarter, and you roll out, don't like what you see there, reverse your field, throw the ball away. Throw the ball away. No, don't try and reverse your field there. Yeah. Now you've just basically moved your team back from the 23-yard line to, you cost your team about 20 yards in 2 plays. And this is one of those situations where you roll out here, you don't see anything. Your first job is throw the ball away. Throw the ball away. He sets up, and he's just too tempted not to throw it away here. And when he sees that flash of the defender, it distracts him to think, I've got to make that man miss before I can do anything else. He has to get smarter or wiser, let's just say, about when to just get rid of the ball. With Tyree Jackson, you're going to get this, which is a lot of fun if you're a fan or if you're a teammate. And he does a nice job throwing back across his body, finding the open man, knowing where he can set up and throw this ball accurately, and do a nice job of being able to avoid defenders. But he's not the fastest guy. Keep in mind that he's facing players at Troy who have obviously put out some good NFL players, some very athletic ones. But, not everyone's going to be DeMarcus Ware or Yura chasing Tyree Jackson just because they were from Troy. But this is a nice play. But you're also going to get this. And this is the type of thing you want to see him cut back on. You had the out. Throw it away. It's 3rd and 8. Tie game. First quarter. You don't have to do this, man. You can just... Instead, he's just looking for a way to buy more time and find somebody open. But from between the time he looks back to his pressure right there and then decides to throw right here, he didn't have much time to assess the defense after he drops his eyes from the pressure and reestablishes. And obviously what he saw wasn't these 2 defenders who were undercutting the receiver that he decides to throw to. So you have to understand the difference between being aggressive and being reckless. And this guy's reckless. And often at just really bad times, The game management needs to get better here. The physical skills are undeniable in terms of throwing the ball and his ability to create space behind the pocket or behind the line of scrimmage. If he can mature as a decision maker in these times where he doesn't shoot his team in the foot, some of those big plays that come along with him, that will shine even brighter. This play is a ridiculous example of his immaturity. He gets them within 3:21 left, making people miss. Great job there. Now he's outside. It's first down. You have 3:23 left. You're down by 3. You're inside your opponent's, or you're inside your own 20. This is the time that you have to say, I'm not going for it all. I'm not going to get greedy. I'm not going to get reckless. I'm going to throw the ball away. I'm going to eat the ball if the defender's here. Just take the sack. It's fine. But when you're not prepared to take the sack because you're flashing the ball around like this, yep, you're going to lose that ball, especially with your horrible ball security, Tyree Jackson. Again, talented guy for sure, but he has to mature as a manager. There are a lot of talented individuals who are not very good leaders, and quarterbacks have to be leaders because they control the ball. They control the output of the ball. They are delegators by nature. That's what they're supposed to be. Running backs aren't delegators by nature. They're doers. They're the executor. They're the hammer. Whatever it is that you want them to be based on what their physical skills are. Quarterbacks have multifaceted responsibilities. And when you're not being responsible with the football, this kind of stuff, I mean, remember, this isn't a simple rollout where he makes one mistake. He's made one man miss, almost reversed his field, decided to make a second man miss. Now he rolls out. Now he's got plenty of time, 3-4 seconds before he decides to do this number. Troy recovers. And that's pretty much it. That's the ball game right here. And he brought them back. Or at least he did some of his part. But this can't happen. All right, so that's part of my in-depth look at Tyree Jackson. And you got to like what you see in terms of the ability to move in the pocket, reset and fire accurately, the aggressiveness downfield, the pretty deep passing, the ability to just, with his footwork, to reset and fire like this. That's nice and efficient. But there's also a little bit more creativity to his game in terms of being able to reverse field and run around in the pocket. He's not extremely fast, but he's got good quickness. And he can buy some time with that quickness. And because he has that big arm and he can attack, and he has pretty good accuracy downfield, and I think that it can get better with some little mechanical fixes here and there. I think that you have a player that a lot of NFL teams are going to be excited about, even if they're not looking at him as an early round prospect in terms of the first round. We'll see. A lot can change. It's always interesting who covets what about a player. We've seen quarterbacks who a lot of people didn't think belonged in the first round get top 10 picks. Some of them worked out really well. Some of them didn't. For me, as someone who just evaluates talent, I see a player who can be a future starter. Someone that if I were to make comparisons, I'd do a range, kind of a spectrum of comparisons, which is what I do in the RSP publication that I make available every April 1st since 2006. So I do a comparison range of players, and it's based on style of play. And when I think of style of play with Jackson, you can see that quickness there. He's not a deep speed type of runner, but he's someone that can certainly buy time for you. But when I look at him, the big arm, the willingness to hang in the pocket, to create in the pocket, to throw downfield, some of the game management decisions that he has to get a lot better at, the ball security he has to get a lot better at, the desire to be a little too aggressive and get overly invested in plays. He reminds me of, the young Ben Roethlisberger, but maybe with not as much mobility. Cam Newton without Cam Newton's mobility, but the big arm and the aggressiveness and willing to hang in the pocket. There's that. Guy like Paxton Lynch, a lot of people, stylistically, Paxton Lynch was a big guy with a big arm, with an aggressive demeanor, who also got overly invested in plays at times and wasn't always the best game manager in terms of the maturity that you were looking for. And that's why I think he struggled in Denver to really ever get a foothold there. Dante Culpepper, certainly a guy who may not have been as polished at school, but with a year, with the Vikings organization and great talent around him, had some of the more productive years of his era. So Tyree Jackson's a promising guy. You're going to hear some of those names probably bandied about by big name draft analysts and corporate media. But let me tell you, I like him. I certainly think that regardless of where he goes, there are going to be some teams that are going to be excited about him, and there's going to be reason to be. So he's a player to watch. Even if he's not going to be a marquee name in a quarterback class that is going to be considered not filled with the marquee names that we've seen in the past. But as the draft stock of players and the reputation of players or buzz of players is really built on things that aren't always about talent. So from a strict standpoint of talent, Tyree Jackson has starter potential. It's just a matter of whether he's willing to work and refine his game in the ways that are the most important, which is that game management scenario, game management and the little details.